tell me why you'd let a knife-wielding maniac serial killer wannabe ever go on that long.
Unless you had full control over that person.
Bingo. That's my point.
You're mad. Mad at me because I don't trust you. Are you out of your mind? You lied. You betrayed. You manipulated. And now you've got the audacity to act like I'm the problem? I'm supposed to forget all that? Hand my trust back like some naive fool? No way. And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
You've been covering this case from day one, right from the jump.
Day one, yes, sir.
What was it about the Idaho 4 case? You said you've been covering other cases. You've never seen something like this case.
I think it was the 8-hour period of time with nobody calling police is what like stuck me. And I noticed all the BS that was in the PCA, and I said, guys, what's up with this? And from that point forward, it just got worse and worse and worse. And every time, you know, my channel covers all the documents, all the reports, all the videos, all the pictures. That's what we look at, every bit of it. So every time something new came out, it just was, there was no questions answered. There was more questions presented. Then the plea deal happened. And most people, a lot of people have said, well, he's done. He's in prison now. That's the reason why I'm still going, because there's too many things about this lack of investigation in this case that makes me stick to this. So that's why I've nonstop been running it.
You know, we're going to talk about Dylan and this soundbite that's going bananas right now. This Freudian slip of what sounds like Homeland Security.
We've all listened to it, and I don't think anybody caught it until Atlanta caught it.
Yeah.
I was listening to it with my mods in Discord. I'm like, wait, what? Where'd this come from? I've been going back through all the hearings from the beginning, and I'm like, what did we miss? What could we have seen or not seen that was out there that, you know, I watched them, but you don't watch every single thing. So
before we get into this clip, because I have this, what I'm calling the Freudian slip happens, let's just, before we play that, let's talk about everything leading up to prior to us noticing this. Okay. So let's name some things in chat and Hive. You guys please put some stuff in there. I'll put them up on the screen. So let's address the obvious. An 8-hour delay, not hearing anything, bushy eyebrows,
clad in black,
seeing Xana on the floor, yet originally saying she thought it was Kaylee in the bathroom.
Right. The vacuum cleaner.
I'm trying to look at the chat here.
The naked guy running from the house.
She never slept, frozen shock phase.
Right. Firefighter, all of that stuff. All of it. One of the funniest things with the eyebrow thing is that it's in all the interviews we've gone through with her, she's never talked about that, but there's photographs on her wall of big bushy ass eyebrows. And it's like, what is going on?
Could you imagine getting tasked with a job to add the black squares and rectangles on all these documents?
Nope. I've said that before. I would have quit right there. I said it. No way. No. Fired somebody else. Either that or you're going to pay me $150 an hour to do this shit.
More than that.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm sorry. No.
It's just crazy, man. And so I got this clip. It's about, I think this clip's like 2 minutes, and I will let this play.
He lived next door to us. He was blah, 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 like just random stuff like that. But then we saw the video of Maddie and Kaylee walking together, and we're like, oh shit, like they were walking together. It wasn't like, you know, that's what also kind of made me believe like it really wasn't him. So no, I wouldn't have known at all who it was yesterday.
Okay. Have you ever seen this Brian Koberger before?
No. I remember when I don't remember someone said, oh, the arrest was in Pennsylvania. That was like, okay.
Before?
No. I remember when I don't remember someone said, oh, the arrest was in Pennsylvania. That was like, okay. I don't know anyone from Pennsylvania. I don't know anyone that has ties to Pennsylvania. And so that like really weirded me out. I don't remember someone said, oh, the arrest was in Pennsylvania. That was like, okay. I don't know anyone from Pennsylvania. I don't know anyone that has ties to Pennsylvania.
Narrative warfare, bro. I love that term. I love that term. I've been saying it too. I love it. It's great. And I'm glad you created it because that's exactly what it is.
You know, speaking of the narrative warfare, I have declared war not only on the narrative, I've declared war on, to put it bluntly, dumbasses. Okay. I've declared war on these NPCs, the MSNPCs,
Amen.
These disciples of mainstream media, because you cannot tell me that this case is just the only thing that makes no sense with a talking suit and a talking head who's paid to say the things that they are.
Sure.
And say it over again, or say it over and over and over again until you believe it. And I'm not going to rant about the news. You guys know I can't stand it.
I can't either. My people know I can't either. So I'm down with you on that one.
Yet at the same time, there's so many tidbits sprinkled in there that discredits them.
Yes.
Immediately.
They do it to themselves. Amen to that too.
So All right. I want to give you my theory on why I believe Dylan could be saying Homeland Security. Hearing Blaker on November 13th with Ashley Jennings at 5 p.m. said that Dylan's timeline is better than Bethany's, yet Dylan hadn't even talked to them according to the police reports.
Right.
My gut tells me that Dylan is somebody who was in a controlled debrief. Dylan was told exactly what happened.
I have to agree with you on that. The fact that she made that statement. Let's throw the dates out there again, Bertie. What was the dates again on that? That interview was what, the 30th?
Yes, December 30th. Brian Koberger was arrested less than 24 hours before that.
Okay, so there's no way that any of that hit media. Okay, not like that. In under normal circumstances, I would never imagine that they would bring somebody such as Dylan Mortensen in and explain things to her. Now, one thing I was thinking about too, though, her stepmother is an attorney and her attorney. Would she have access to that? Very possibly. Would she tell her about that? Very possibly. But what you just said makes perfect sense to me, because that's the only way I can imagine that somebody in her position would know something like that. It's not an accident. Was it a slip up? Sure. Of course it was. We know it was, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It obviously did. She didn't get that from nowhere. Okay. It had to come from somewhere. So yeah, I can agree with you on that, dude. That makes perfect sense.
And I'm sorry, survivors don't get random visits from Homeland Security in a straightforward lone wolf homicide.
They don't.
This
not at all.
This tells me that the feds are, we know at this point, the feds are already controlling the damage.
We have Moscow police. We have Idaho State Police. We have Latah County Sheriff's Department. We have the FBI. We have Homeland Security. We have the Secret Service. And there was a rumor that the U.S. Marshals were in there. I don't know that that's true or not, but that's a lot of agencies to be involved in a case. Granted, it's a quadruple homicide, but I've never seen that many agencies involved in one situation.
So what I'm getting at with Dylan being in this controlled debrief is I think that we actually just got a glimpse into this was classified and it was almost said out loud.
Yes.
That's what I think that is.
So what else do you think, Bertie, could have been stated that shouldn't have been stated through all of that? You know what I mean? I know damn well that that's not the one and only time she's ever done that. Come on.
Is she being controlled to say certain things?
I absolutely believe 100% that there's a fear that's controlling the situation. The fear is that if we don't do what we're supposed to do, here it comes. You know what I'm saying? So
if you have the ability to think critically, and if you followed this case, you're not going to be shocked. If you've only watched Ashley Banfield talk about Koberger's muffin tops, your head's going to blow off right now.
yeah,
But to me, right, it's like Dylan's not just a witness, everybody. She is either a liability or she's an asset. There's one of two things at this point, or both.
Yeah, or both, depending on what the situation would pertain to. Yes.
Does Dylan saying Homeland Security point to a pre-coordinated arrest of Brian Koberger?
It absolutely could, for sure.
Him being allowed to cross multiple state lines, him being surveilled for up to 5 months beforehand.
Yep. It absolutely could. The whole Indiana stop, the dual stops in Indiana that they denied, I don't believe ever, never will. All of that. Yes, I agree with you.
So there's federal fingerprints all over this arrest before anybody in the public knew who Brian Koberger was.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why you'd let a knife-wielding maniac serial killer wannabe ever go on that long.
Unless you had full control over that person.
Bingo. That's my point.
I agree.
That's my point. I just got goosebumps, dude.
Unless you have full control over that person, of course you wouldn't do that, because if you have no control over that situation, that could be dangerous to you, yourself, and many other situations. So yeah.
Xana's mom.
Yes.
Saying that she hoped that it wasn't because of her cooperating.
Yep. Yeah, that report threw me sideways real quick when I was reading through that one, dude. That was pretty crazy.
I was talking about the ACA, which is like the Authorized Criminal Act or something like that. It's essentially, you're never going to see somebody who's an informant, or I'm sorry, who's like working with the feds. They will never be on trial as a true defendant.
Never. That's absolutely
correct. And so now I'm gonna loop this into what you just said about the guy who had all the experience that should have been the lead detective, but wasn't because it was Payne after 2 years. Who, by the way, if you're a 2-year detective and you solve this case as simply and as Loctite as you did, that's a career maker. You're not going to leave.
So why would you leave and go work head of security for the damn college? Exactly.
But whether there's an ongoing investigation that maybe the lead detective's involved in, or the reason why they don't put a defendant that's undercover on trial fully
Mhm.
is because that entire operation will collapse. It will be
Bingo.
exploited in trial.
Yeah.
So they can't do that. Any arrest prior, any arrest in the future is now going to be under mad scrutiny. And it puts people's
100%.
lives at risk.
And we know, I think you may have known this, but we found out way early on in this, like you said, I was on this from day one, that the FBI and the DEA were on the ground on campus within this situation before the murders happened, intertwined. So there was something going on before, during, and after, in my opinion. If that's how Brian got involved in this, okay, that would blow the entire thing that they probably spent millions of dollars on, multiple agencies, multiple people. So the man's got to go to prison, okay? And like I said before, what if that was the whole point, that Brian was supposed to go to prison, Birdie?
I've heard that theory a couple times, and every time it makes my head just again explode.
Yes.
Because you want to talk about like the most sophisticated of sophisticated tinfoil hat, yet we all call it corruption. It's purposeful misdirection that is all within the legal confines of our system.
That's it. Same thing Cy Ray called it. You ain't lying, bro.
Dylan has to get debriefed immediately and get her story straight. You got to ensure she's not going to reveal details that might point to this cartel gang style hit.
Right.
They're going to plug the leaks. They're going to secure the media. And now think about this as I'm saying this, because this is what we watched happen. They're going to control the narrative before this explodes, dude.
Right. Right.
Because if it already isn't weird that this case exploded, imagine if it comes out that a white supremacist gang just did that, or the cartel did that.
In the city of Moscow, with this university right here, the other university right there. Absolutely. This is a hometown, peaceful place. So yeah.
Xana's mom says, I hope this isn't because of me cooperating in a police document, and they release that. Let's back that up. Do you know how stupid that would be for them to release that info? And they just release it to the entire world that she says that. And I haven't thought about it like that until right now. Why would they ever let that be unsealed? Now everybody, they're putting her at risk, dude.
Well, of course. Do you know how many people, Birdie, they've done that with? Bill Thompson himself has done multiple informants work for the city of Moscow, doing the same thing. So yeah, absolutely. And we had two, not just one, two of the parents that were involved in that same type of situation that, in my opinion, rolled. Carrie's the only one that made that statement, but there was at least two, bro. At least two.
And they're just letting that part out. But we can't even hear Jack Showalter's name. Give me a break.
It's too much.
It's too much. It's too easy. It's like I've said, it's like a screen pass in football when you're rushing and the O-line lets you by. You're like, you got to put the brakes on and back up because they're about to dump it off right over your head and go score. That's what this feels like. It's too easy to poke holes in. We're being distracted by it.
Here's what my theory has always been with this. Nowhere within this case did the government within that was covering this think that a bunch of YouTubers were going to figure this out, that they were going to look into this as deep as that we have and follow this for as long as we have. I'm sure they figured, oh yeah, they'll take a look at it and move on. Well, guess what? They underestimated this community as it is, and here we sit. So that's my opinion on that.
You want to know what I'll say to that, dude? What are the chances that all those kids that have their parents' backgrounds that they do are all in that house on that night, and Kaylee just so happens to be back that night, and Ethan just so happens to be staying there?
There you go, brother. Why did they bring Kaylee back?
And you have the plainclothes police officers patrolling.
Yep.
Allegedly, right? All around that time. And so it makes you think, was that house already a known, like if you were law enforcement, I'm saying?
In my opinion, yes. I know where you're going.
Yeah, like is that a known, like, okay, this is a potential hotbed of people that have targets on their back because of their family members.
Yes.
It's not like WITSEC yet, but it's like they're under some sort of like a security detail.
I think Rosie and Tesda were brought on that night, purposely that night, which is why they made so many laps around that vicinity that night. What other reason would you sit in that area alone and make multiple circles throughout that neighborhood that night? It's just we've looked into that too, and it's like, wait, you have a whole campus you could be patrolling and watching, but you stayed right there, and they kept coming back to that Banfield area, Birdie, right there by the fire hydrant. They kept coming back to that same spot. They took off and went to the other side of Moscow for a little while to deal with the sign and the grub truck dude with the long hair and the sweater on and all that stuff, and came back through them, in my opinion. So yeah, you gotta wonder that. You gotta
wonder that, and then you gotta think too, like I've always wondered, like, was Xana the target, and is that why? Like,
is that why they don't have a time that they got home ever?
That's what I mean, bro. And I was talking about that earlier this week. Like,
Yep.
why does nobody know where they are? And is that because we're gonna kill the snitch's daughter? And you want to know what else? We're gonna create we're gonna muddy the waters and have collateral damage to confuse law enforcement as to what the motive could have been.
Yep. Bingo. Because we do not have, by any means, an absolute timeline that Xana and Ethan got in that house. In the first press conference, we just went over it again the other day. They stated that they were home by 1:45. No, they weren't, because in Hitler's affidavit, they went upstairs and had a little powwow in Kaylee's bedroom at 2 a.m. They weren't there. After that, nobody talks about Xana or Ethan that night until after the fact. So where the hell were they? Did somebody follow them home from that night? And that's always been my thought, that those two were the targets and the other two were collateral damage. Just saying.
Yeah, and in a way, it ends up being like this, it ends up being like a silent message to the person that did snitch.
Bingo. 100%, bro. Makes perfect sense to me. Makes perfect sense to me.
Like, we reached your blood. We got your daughter.
Yep. Now sit down, shut your mouth, and go away.
And you want to know what, dude? I would even throw into there, Dylan and Beth, we're going to leave survivors for the fear. Nobody's going to talk out now.
Exactly. And that in itself, I can imagine a conversation being had. Now, let me go back to something, because I don't know if you were around for that, but I had a community member that was attached to my channel for a very long time. She went by the name WSU Mom Kim.
I've heard her call.
Okay. So she came out early on and gave a bunch of information, and everybody didn't believe her until about the past 3 months, and everything she stated, almost everything has come to fruition. So with the stuff she told me back then, I have to stick to it now and say, she said to me that there were people that knew for days before this happened that this was going to go down. And there was many, many people that knew about this. Okay. So at that point,
shakedown.
100%. That's what she called it, a shakedown. She said there was supposed to be a shakedown to settle a situation that maybe went too far, or that was the whole point. Who knows? It could be either one. And boom, here we sit. You know what I mean? And it's being covered up because, again, think about this. Like you said, I'm pretty sure I've heard you say it before, that this is the university. The university relies on the city of Moscow. The city of Moscow relies on the university. If neither have each other, it is what it is. Okay. They'll both shut down, in my opinion. And if this were to get out, that's why there was such a push to make sure they had somebody in custody for this, because people were pulling their kids out. People did not want to come back. But as soon as they got, the arrest, oh, we're back to, we're safe again. So.
Can I ask you this? Because I saw you talk, your WSU Kim interview is what I ended up showing back when I was doing my TikTok streams.
Yeah.
I believe you were the first, right?
I wasn't. Actually, T-Red was the first, and then she got they beat her up over there pretty bad. And then she came to my channel, I think, and then she was on Drunk Turkey and Lana. But I was one of the first. Yeah, I was one of the people that protected her and gave her a platform and told her, say what you got to say. So, dude,
can I throw something out there that I've not heard anybody say?
Go for it.
See, I get a little bit hesitant to say this because it's like there are so many people that they just can't think through it. And I'm not saying I even believe this, but this thought popped into my head again. I'm having like 3 or 4 thoughts that I haven't said out loud yet. It's like, okay, this Homeland Security thing. I love whenever that happens because it like re-triggers this curiosity of like, why? And it's immediately after Koberger gets arrested and she's saying this. It's like, how did Homeland Security get to her? And then I look back to Blaker and Ashley Jennings being there. Payne's not wearing a body cam at the crime scene. It's 5 p.m. The coroner might not have even been there. These reports aren't done. That's where the whole debrief of Dylan comes in. And I'm like, that's how they might know. But then I started thinking like, dude, why would you debrief somebody that has this eyewitness testimony and kind of like also put them out there at the same time? Like, that's also weird to me. Just like I said, it's weird they released Xana's mom's police report. Why are you going to release that Dylan saw them?
Yep.
That's also like, shit, we have a witness.
Yep.
So was she not there? Did she see him? Right? People have said that. What if Dylan like truly did survive? And that's why they're calling them, they're not a victim, they're not a witness.
They're survivors.
And what if they did survive? What if she did run away?
It's possible.
Like, what if she got the hell out of the house like a normal person would have and didn't go anywhere until the next day, and hence the 8-hour delay. She got the hell out of there.
That would explain that. That would explain why people believe they weren't there that night either, too. You know what I mean?
She ran for her life.
Yeah. Yes.
And then was debriefed and said, this is what you have to say. Maybe.
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me, dude. It truly does.
I'm not saying I believe it, but it's got to be maybe considered. And maybe Bethany went too. They were
definitely considered, in my opinion, too.
And maybe I don't know. Dude, for all we know, they could have called the cops as they're running for their life. And that's why they were maybe staying at a hotel.
Yeah. And there's one point that a bunch of people were pointing out to me when we were watching the body cams that Dylan says, that man over there told us to call 911.
Yes. And it looks like they point at was it Rosie or Gunderson?
One of the two, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, because everybody was like, well, she was pointing at Hunter. Why would she call him a man? That doesn't fit to me. I'm sorry. The language doesn't match up for a 20-something to say something like that. So, and again, it doesn't mean it's true, you guys. It's just one of them things. Did you get a hold of somebody that, you know, in every community, there's always that one cop that's friendly with everybody. That's, I'm your buddy. If you need anything, here's my card. Come talk to me, so on and so forth. You know what I mean?
Dude, like, what do you say? And this is not towards anybody specific. I'm just saying, like, what do you say to people in general, whether it's, you know, in the chat, whether it's in your normal everyday life?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they think that this might just be somebody who's outsmarting them as a witness, being Dylan, being Bethany. I'm sorry. At this point, in my mind, there's no way in hell that DM and Bethany's story would have not gotten them to crack with the pressure that would have been put on them by these agencies.
Sure.
They would have cracked. They've gotten people who have had way more complex plans, that have had way better stories.
Sure.
We've watched these people at times, like, dude, this is on a way different level. It's not a murder, but it's like the mom who was like verbally abusing her own daughter via text messages for years.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what that was called. It was on Netflix. It's like disgusting, where it's like,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I didn't think that.
Catfished. Yeah.
Yeah, by her own mom. Now that's again, that's a bad example, but I'm saying you can look at people and not know, because she was talking the entire first half of the documentary and telling the story, and then it comes out like halfway through, you're like, oh my God.
Right.
Your mom.
How did you do that to your own child? Right.
But you can apply that to other murder cases where it's like they did it.
Of course.
And like, so dude, out of all of the people in that house, who would you say, in your opinion, had the parents with the biggest target on their back? Xana? If this was a gang hit, like a drug hit.
Yeah, I would venture to say, but I'll go there, but there's also been information that's come out lately that has been pushed about the Goncalves family. Is it true? I don't know. Okay, I'm just telling you. I've been looking at all the aspects, but I would imagine Xana's mom would be the biggest. Yeah.
And you know, I'm glad you brought up the G's. So one of the things that I don't typically do on the show is I don't ever really talk about the family specifically. Like I've put Steve G's interviews on there that he's talked. Like everybody watches those interviews.
Yes.
But like I don't really dive into anything other than, you know, I guess the generalized, like they had parents that were connected.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but just like I was talking about with Xana, why are they releasing that information of her mom saying, I hope this isn't because I cooperated? Okay.
No idea,
why
bro.
would the G family get out into the media and expose themselves? Now, I'm not saying that people haven't done that. Okay. I can wrap my head around the fact that people try to maybe hide in plain sight, or they try to, who knows what the motivation would be.
Yeah.
But like, why let them do that? It's so mind boggling to me that I always think like there has to be a reason why it's that family that is doing it.
That's a great point, because there's been a lot from that family. Okay. And they've admitted to it. Bertie, they've admitted to purposely leaking things. They've admitted to purposely having people leak misinformation to run a specific narrative. They've admitted to it with no fault. And it's like, what are you doing? Now, the only thing I can say to that, okay, and I believe this wholeheartedly at this point, everything that's been given to us has been given to us on purpose to keep us going one direction, okay, because they're not going to give us the truth. We know that. And that's why I think they're running that narrative to keep it going that direction, in my opinion. And I think a few of us have fallen into some of the truth. Okay. And every time that happens, something new comes out, and there's more questions on top of other questions again. So that's my only. Why would you give it to that family type thing? Because they know that that family's going to be talking about it. Okay.
When Hive, I'm putting out a request off the top of my head. I don't know this. Dago, if you know this, that'd be great. But
Okay.
when did Xana's mom, not the police report, when was the suspected time frame of the cooperation?
I believe it was somebody in here that's part of my team probably correct me, but I believe it was like days before, a matter of like 2 or 3 days before she was
The
arrested.
murders?
2 or 3 days, the murders, I believe. Yeah. And then
Okay.
Maddie's stepmother, I believe, was right after, in my opinion. I think that's how that went down. Don't quote me because it's been so long now. There's somebody in here that knows it. There it is. 11/9, November 9th. So,
But is that the police report, or is that when the actual cooperation?
well,
That's
that's
what
I think that's the arrest date.
Oh yeah, because obviously it couldn't be the police report because the crime
Sure,
hadn't even happened
sure.
yet. Whatever. Yeah. Duh.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go.
Man.
I mean, if you look at this situation, you know that it happens. Look at the other two that were being held responsible for Caden Young's death. They get arrested. They're both in sitting in jail. I'm in a live stream and I get a message. They just released them with no extra charges, no prosecution, no nothing. And off they go. They disappear. And I went, what? They do this a lot, bro. They do this a lot there. It's crazy. So when I read that report from Kara, I said, you got to be kidding me.
Why let that out? That's my biggest
That's
question.
what I mean.
Right
I
now.
agree with you. How and why? Maybe it was an accident, dude. Maybe they didn't pull that. You know, when they went through all this stuff to redact what they were going to do, so on and so forth. Maybe they didn't catch it. You know, I'm sure with all the stuff they were putting out, it would be almost damn near impossible to catch everything. So it could have been a slip, in my opinion.
I mean, dude, and we don't know where they were. We don't see pictures of them. This happened a week before.
Yep.
Dog.
Yep.
What if they got their ass out of Dodge?
Could
I'm
be.
just saying. It's
Could
that
be.
seems
Could
to be maybe that.
We've been
Like,
told.
I don't know.
We were okay. This is where I started to get weirded out about this. We were told by, and it's changed. Jeff Kernodle and Jasmine stated, I can't remember which show it was, but and then it came back out in the the victim's impact statements that he had contacted Xana that night, and Xana said, "Yeah, Dad, we're good." There, somebody sent Jasmine, Xana's sister, a message about a fight. Okay, Jeff calls. They were out drinking, him and his daughter. And are you guys okay? Yeah, Dad, it's 12 or 12:30. We're sitting at home eating pizza, watching movies. We're good. And Jasmine said, you know, I told my dad, no, I can't let him go. He's been drinking too much. Now, Kara, because we did an interview with Kara, I can't remember exactly when, but that question was asked to her, and she absolutely verified that fight happened that night. So, okay. And then the story changed in the reports that he hadn't seen them. Jeff hadn't seen or spoke to her since the 11th. So what's going on here?
I mean, dude, this is where my theory, my tinfoil hat comes in with this. Was there a double cross, like a setup? Was there an assassination plot that was foiled where they were like, it was spoiled? Like Xana and Ethan were supposed to be, Xana was supposed to be there. Ethan was supposed to be there,
Yeah.
but they weren't. And there's somebody else waiting in the house. And maybe the 2 gunshots were cops killing the people that were going to come and kill these kids.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then the calls for the unconscious person. Like, I don't know, man.
We've never seen Xana's picture in that bedroom. We saw a blurry version of somebody in that bedroom, but that's it.
I mean, every single so then it's like Kaylee and Maddie, their movements, as far as I'm concerned, from a narrative standpoint, are precise to the minute, bro.
Yeah.
2 of them are foggy, and we have no idea.
Absolutely, and that shouldn't be that way. In a case like this, you should be able to tell exactly where everybody was that whole night. I can't remember. Was it Emily? Yeah, it was Emily that stated she saw Xana on a video at 1:30 at the lodge, and just imagine that Ethan's with her. That's her statement. That doesn't mean it's real. Okay, so where were they? When did they get home?
What about phone GPS? What about like?
Yep.
And then, dude, on top of that, bro, you got the University of Idaho's entire camera system is shut down on a Sunday for maintenance, yet nobody's working. All of the
Yeah.
other house, like you see everyone's seen that picture of the TV that's saying there's no
service.
connection.
The Roku screen popped up, right? That's interesting. That is interesting.
I mean, dude, that's used in operations.
Yes, sir.
I hate to go there because I hate to go there because I know that people, they have their own theories, and I listen to all of them. I put out a ton of them. To me, it's just seeming to become more and more unlikely that college kids pulled this off.
Oh, I can agree. I can agree.
Framed this random guy nobody knows.
Exactly. I can agree.
Under the most sus circumstances of trace DNA. But like,
yeah,
these holes are lining up way too perfectly to be natural. In my opinion. Like, now to say that there wasn't sketchy stuff going on. But maybe that's also too why people think there's two timelines.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. A lot of people believe that. two timelines at two different times a night. So,
but you want to know what's so wild? Both of those timelines, dude, they have the same missing block. What are the chances of that? If there was two timelines, like
that would be pretty odd. I agree. That would be pretty odd.
That can't be right. Like, how if there's truly two different timelines for Xana and Ethan, what I'm trying to say is how is there naturally ever one missing block that somehow both those separate timelines can all be encapsulated on and have no leaks?
Right. Good point. See, I've always struggled with the leak part of this. How do young people this young keep something like this a secret for so long, other than the fact that their life has been threatened? Okay,
it's got to be it.
If you speak on this, you're done. That's the only thing I can imagine that would keep somebody quiet. Now, I've been waiting patiently and hoping that somebody gets drunk and spits something accidentally and it comes out. But I think there's people that are handling, for lack of better terms, that are handling these two, and other people possibly, just to ensure that stuff like that doesn't happen. That's just my opinion.
The confusing part to me is like, you go on X, you go on Reddit, you go on pretty much Instagram, you can see it. There are so many effed up videos.
Yes.
And live leak.
Big time.
We can't even get cars on a road.
Nope.
We can't even get security footage at a bar. Everything's grainy.
Yep, because that shows the truth. Like I said before, one of the videos that I want bad, I want the 11/12 footage from 9 p.m. that night until 1 p.m. the next day. All of it. I just want to see it and follow it. I'll sit all night and watch it. I don't care. I know that we'll never get it because I feel like at some point that's going to have some truth in it, and we'll never see it, in my opinion. And then, one of my issues with that footage as well, and I think Jules went looking for it, and I think she's about to get it, but Olivia, Kaylee's sister, said she saw them get dropped off at 1:56 a.m., go inside, then come back out to walk the dog. That didn't happen. We know that those two didn't come back out to walk the dog. We know who was walking the dog. And how did you see that from the 11/12 camera footage that's around the corner? Obviously, in my opinion, she saw it either on another camera or never saw it at all. That's just my opinion.
I agree with that.
I think she was told that, and that's what she just went with it. That's my opinion.
In addition to just random oddities, random things. I don't want to just talk about the same stuff. I'm trying to piece this together right now because I feel like the thoughts are flowing, and it's like Chapin saying 2 a.m. is a dark hour. You hear a bunch of weird shit around, 1:30, 1:50, other than the lane cameras. You got Chrissy, Steve, and Olivia saying that their niece called them and said they were shot.
Right.
What time was the rumored on? I always forget the name of like the whatever the log is for the 911 calls. Wasn't there? What time was like the first 911 call? Wasn't that a big thing in the beginning that there was an alleged 911 call that went out that was caught on the
3 a.m. I think it was. But they've tried as hard as they can to bury that. I've never seen or heard it, but they talked about it quite often, and then it, like I said, it disappeared. 3 or 301. But see, a lot of people have said that pertains to the Banfield situation. But that doesn't make sense because the Banfield situation wasn't a 911 call. It wasn't an emergency. These guys were patrolling, looking for underage drinkers and saw them walking and stopped them. So there's no 911 call there. That's a nice try, but no.
So Dylan added the contact at 350.
351, yeah.
If that 911 call is real, people respond, they assess the situation. What if it's people that are on scene, whether it be the FBI, now a handler? That's the contact that she's adding. She leaves. She leaves. She's being debriefed for about 8 hours. She shows up. What a lot of people think is her, drives her car back the next morning, gets out. People are called. They come over. People are going to say, Brian Koberger Googled the murders before they were announced. Well, if that's the case, then half the freaking town of Moscow should be in handcuffs.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
But it's like, it's too deliberate in the midst of chaos. Same thing with Xana being on TikTok. It's too deliberate of things that are said out loud in this narrative, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. I agree.
So people have always been trying to say that this contact might be the key. Now, I'm curious. Has anybody ever applied? Are you familiar with like the 1 hour, 7 minutes, 26 second delta?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
With like the Banfield body cam. Has anybody ever applied that to the 351 contact being entered? Has anybody ever applied that to this alleged first 911 call? That'd be interesting.
It would be, truly. Yeah.
Same thing with Xana's on TikTok. If you apply that.
I think Pavarotti might have tried to do that at one point. Don't quote me. I might be wrong, but I know he definitely paid attention to that. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. That's definitely a crazy point.
I've had Sherlock on to talk about the Banfield at the 7 minute, 26 seconds, the 1 hour, 7 minutes, 26 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know, what's interesting too. I made a video saying that if you applied that delta to the time of the 911 call, I believe it was like at the first vandal alert sent out.
104. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is just like weird.
Yeah, it is very, very much so. I agree.
Like, even that's just by chance. Guys,
crazy.
Oh my God.
That's what it does every day, dude. Every day I go through that same exact this because it's like what, and I think it's all done purposely, Bertie, to keep us confused.
If you guys have not hit that like button on the way out, I would appreciate that. And I will see you tomorrow. Dago, you're the man. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you,
brother. Absolutely. Keep doing the great things, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yep. Cheers, everyone. Have a great night, Hive. See you tomorrow. Peace.